Welcome back. For those of you who haven't seen my earlier videos, I actually rescued this fan from a storage shed about a year ago, and it was rusting. The cage was badly bent to the point where the blades were actually unable to turn. One of the blades was actually bent itself, so it was quite rough. All the paint was ruined. It had a light coating of cigarette tar. It was actually in rough shape. The paint on the motor and the blades was scratched badly. The center blade hub had a C-shaped scratch in it, obviously from someone trying to take these out of the cage without lining them up properly. This collar here was rusted, and the base was scratched. In fact, all the way around the edge was a nice layer of rust. Luckily it didn't rust through, but it was starting to flake. Not too good. The wiring was beyond hazardous. But amazingly, when I took the blade shroud off, it actually did run. Not very well. It ran very slowly. The lubrication was all gunked up. I mean, the fan would have probably wound up in the trash had I not rescued it. And I later found out, after some research, this is likely a 38 model, Robbins Myers. And is very similar in design to the later model Hunter fans, especially the motor and other various bits and pieces. So this was really a garbage find. I mean, it was in sad shape. There's no way in hell anyone was going to use it. And when I brought it home, I immediately set to work. You'll see again in an earlier video I did of this. I tore the whole thing down. I cleaned and lubricated the motor, replaced a couple of the fiber washers. I straightened out the blades, straightened out the grill guard, blade guard. I rewired it from the switch down, and I used it in my living room for a while. It was being used for cross ventilation, and then I started hearing what sounded like bearing noise from the motor, like a rattling vibration, and I just shut it off, and I'm like, screw this, I was going to throw it out, and then I realized the blades were loose. Whoops. So anyway, just this past weekend I was looking at it, and I realized just how shabby it really was. I mean, the paint was scratched, it was coated with nicotine and tar. It looked awful. There was rust again. I mean, this is all rusted, and not horribly, but scratched, and of course some surface rust. It just looked bad. So I had some candy apple red paint and clear enamel that I had bought for a bicycle restoration I was going to do, and I decided to use that. And of course I used enamel primer, and not enamel primer, duh. I used regular primer. I sanded, not all the way to metal, but I sanded the paint to the point where it was paintable. I primed everything. I baked everything I could in the oven except for the base. It doesn't fit. And once I did that, I put a coat of candy apple red, baked it again, a couple of coats of clear coat, baked it again, and I did the same thing to the Robbins Myers badge and the switch plate. And once again I lubricated the motor again, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I mean, it really was a wreck. Now I could probably sell this thing for $300. I mean, you know, that's what the hobby's all about: saving an antique and making it a valuable treasure. And I don't plan on selling it, so don't worry. But anyway, so we'll hear it run. This is a 2-speed model, high and low. and the motor runs smooth as ever. No noises, no rattles, and it's really, the thing pushes out a lot of air. As you can see, the blades have a lot of pitch to them, and you know, that and a pretty good sized motor, you know, does a great job of cooling off my house. I mean, really, I said that if it's a nice hot day, I come home and I open up the two doors here, throw the fan on, and it really cools down the living room. It pulls air all the way across the house, so which is only like 30 feet, but anyway. But that's not the worst one. Of course, this 1919 GE that I've put a lot of work into, when I got it, was a garbage pile, piece of junk. I mean, it was gone. The entire cage was actually squished sideways, and the blades weren't bent, thank God, but the wiring was completely wasted. All the paint was gone. The original paint was all chipped away, and it was covered in silver paint. Someone had thought they were doing something nice to it. They painted it with Rust-Oleum silver paint. I don't know why. Even the blades, it was awful. And data plate was all painted over. It was ready for the scrapyard. And this thing is probably worth more in scrap iron than it is. It weighs a ton. It weighs almost as much as that stand fan, for God's sakes. It's all cast iron. So I got this one, and I, as you see in other videos, I stripped it down. I polished all the brass, even stuff that wasn't even supposed to be polished, like the screws and this knob here. I really went through it. I rewired it from the coil down, so there's no original wiring left in this fan. There was nothing left to it anyway, nothing to save. I even restored the grill badge, which I've actually been complimented on because it came out just like it did at the factory. It looks beautiful. And this one runs very nice. I'm not going to bother starting it up right now. What the hell. Put it on medium. I love this fan, not only for its appearance, but for the amount of air it pushes out. I mean, it's quiet, it's smooth, and it has that nice GE hum that almost every GE fan of this style sounded like. But it's also probably one of my more valuable fans. I've seen these go for up to $600 on eBay in this condition. In the condition I found it in, it probably wasn't worth more than 20 bucks. No joke. I mean, it doesn't take much. I think in materials, this thing only cost me probably about $30 in materials. That's paint, polishing materials, brasso, you know. It can be expensive, but you can definitely make a profit if you find the right buyer. And this other fan here, I bought it in an antique shop for 20 bucks. It's a piece of junk. I just put it up there for looks. I actually do use this every once in a while. It runs. It's a 1930s Westinghouse, nothing fancy. It's got micarta blades. They're not metal, they're micarta, which is a patented material that Westinghouse had created. And I put a nice reproduction cloth cord. And I'm actually, this is kind of hokey. And I'm running it down the wall. I can use this to cool off the cathedral ceiling space. It works pretty well, but it needs bearings. It's a total piece of crap. I'm going to probably just leave it there for decoration and put a real ceiling fan in here. That's my next step. Well, I hope you've enjoyed. Before you throw out that antique fan, see if there's someone who could restore it, bring new life to it, and in some cases even use it on a daily basis like I've done with mine. Have a nice day.